Zhang Yi had already activated both everything under heaven and the second hand of time. Defense and the ability to foresee the future were engaged. Before him lay a vast, primordial land, where colossal beasts roamed the earth. Is my battlefield a vast, primordial wilderness? Zhang Yi thought silently. Divine refinement transformed into sacred silver armor, coiling around his submarine dragon armor to form a new defensive layer, while another portion materialized in his palm as a large rifle. Moments later, Zhang Yi too became a streak of light shooting skyward. The light around him shifted and shimmered. When he could clearly see his surroundings again, he found himself plummeting from the sky toward the earth. Whoosh, wind howled around him, its roar deafening. A transparent protective barrier enveloped his body, seemingly preventing him from being crushed by the sudden fall. Zhang Yi scanned his surroundings. The sky was crystal clear, a deep azure expanse dotted with white clouds drifting slowly. In the distance, the azure sea shimmered. Looking down, Zhang Yi saw a vast, untouched jungle spread out below him. Towering trees stood lush and verdant, while within the forest, enormous beasts roamed. Zhang Yi had never seen creatures like these before, yet each was larger than the largest land animal in the human world, the elephant. Young cubs followed within the herds, moving steadily forward. This world felt utterly unfamiliar, as if it didn't belong on this planet. Or perhaps, this wasn't even the planet of this era. Zhang Yi merely glanced around briefly before decisively focusing his attention on any potential threats to his life in the surrounding area. He hadn't forgotten that this battle was a fight to the death. The administrators had no need to lie to them, so death here meant resurrection in the outside world. Beyond that, the administrators had revealed no other rules. In other words, the sole rule determining victory was the death of one side in combat. The divine refinement was now fully loaded with the nuclear bullet. Zhang Yi could clearly sense his power suppressed to the level of a newly ascended epsilon. This was advantageous for him because even nuclear bullet without the infused power of the void could pose a significant threat to a white chariot-level epsilon mutant. Both the submarine dragon armor and the divine refinement were his external equipment. Since the divine refinement was forged from a brain-dead biological body, it wasn't counted as a separate entity. With these on hand, Zhang Yi now possessed the capital to test his strength against any formidable opponent. Zhang Yi scanned his surroundings. Sure enough, his smart device soon detected a figure enveloped in a transparent shield plummeting at high speed, over 10 kilometers away. The view zoomed in repeatedly, magnifying the scene. When he clearly recognized the person, Zhang Yi paused slightly before breaking into a smile. His first opponent was none other than Xiao Honglian. Zhang Yi had considered this possibility. With the largest team member count, probability dictated that an internal battle was nearly inevitable. Just as Zhang Yi spotted Xiao Honglian, she detected his presence. Zhang Yi tested his smart device. Though completely cut off from external communication, it still allowed contact with Xiao Honglian, who shared his space. Zhang Yi sent her a direct message. "End it yourself. Once we're out, I'll make it up to you." But upon hearing Zhang Yi's words, Xiao Honglian suddenly pressed her lips together tightly. She hesitated. Her hesitation did not escape Zhang Yi's notice. A hint of amusement flickered in his eyes. "Or perhaps you wish to test whether, when the level of your supernatural abilities matches mine, you can defeat me?" Xiao Honglian clenched her teeth, her gaze hardening with resolve. "Supreme Excellency, I deeply admire your power. But since I have this chance to experience epsilon-level strength, please grant me the opportunity to face you." She wasn't one to admit defeat so easily. Back in Tianhai City, she had been a formidable figure. Even Zhang Yi had to treat her with caution. The longer time passed, the wider the gap between them grew. Xiao Honglian refused to accept this. She had already pushed herself to the limit. Yet the harder she tried, the deeper the sense of helplessness gnawed at her heart. Now, she couldn't even catch a glimpse of Zhang Yi's back. That's why she had to seize this chance, no matter what. If she must lose, she would lose with dignity. "Fine. I'll grant you that chance. Zhang Yi said with a smile, though his gaze sharpened. He understood Xiao Holian's personality. Had Liang Yu acted this way today, Zhang Yi would have been furious, seeing her as a stubborn fool who disregarded the situation. But since it was Xiao Holian, Zhang Yi didn't mind too much. So what if the gap in our supernatural abilities is even out? A baby suddenly granted adult strength wouldn't necessarily know how to wield it. Moreover, there was a crucial point. The strength of epsilon-level mutants lay in their abilities being inherently more powerful than those of ordinary mutants. Especially someone like Zhang Yi. Mid-air, Zhang Yi raised his divine refinement rifle. Yet at such a distance, his currently suppressed supernatural abilities couldn't achieve an effective shot. Therefore, Zhang Yi abruptly reversed his descent and charged straight toward Xiao Holian. Xiao Holian had already resolved to fight Zhang Yi to the death, so she wasn't unprepared. Seeing Zhang Yi hurtling toward her, she gritted her white teeth and silently declared, "Zhang Yi, these past 3 years haven't been wasted. Today, I'll show you just how much I've improved." Her right fist pressed against her chest as a fiery blaze erupted from her heart. Her heart pounded wildly, thumping like the roar of a war machine's engine. Her blood grew scorching hot, her powerful heartbeat transforming into a colossal energy furnace. The power of the purgatory furnace surged from within her body, the raging torrent of supernatural energy transforming into crimson magma coursing through her veins. White smoke billowed from every pore of her limbs, rising in swirling tendrils as crimson patterns spread across her skin. Her face, adorned with demonically beautiful yet ferocious crimson patterns, granted her formidable strength. Xiao Holian felt utterly exhilarated. She had never experienced such overwhelming power. It felt as though she could incinerate the entire earth in a single breath. But now was not the time to indulge in this power. She must first pass this trial. Spotting Zhang Yi pursuing her, Xiao Holian recalled his abilities. As a member of the Volt Shadow Troop, she knew his capabilities well. She understood better than most just how formidable his long-range sniping skills were. "I can't fight him here. I must get into the jungle." Xiao Holian activated the flight function of her combat suit. Blue flames erupted from the thrusters as metamaterial energy propelled the suit, accelerating her descent toward the primeval jungle below. This place is entirely covered in trees, giant trees that have grown for untold ages. Zhang Yi's sniping abilities will be severely limited without a clear line of sight. And my abilities will be easier to unleash. Xiao Holian made up her mind. The idea is sound. It's just unfortunate that while your ability index has reached epsilon, you haven't yet developed combat techniques befitting that level. Zhang Yi's voice transmitted through her combat suit. Xiao Holian jolted in alarm, sensing danger. As she turned, she saw Zhang Yi had closed to within less than 5 kilometers. Both plummeted downward rapidly, Zhang Yi matching her speed precisely. The space shuffle ability surpassed all conventional speeds. Xiao Holian's pupils contracted slightly as she saw Zhang Yi raise his gun without hesitation. Even facing her, a Delta-level mutant, Zhang Yi showed no playful teasing like a cat toying with a mouse. From the very start, he intended to kill her with the utmost seriousness. Goodbye. A nuclear bullet, infused with the power of the void, shot toward Xiao Holian mid-air the moment Zhang Yi pulled the trigger. The ability's precision shot and destined reincarnation sealed off both the direction of Xiao Holian's fall and any possible evasive maneuvers she might attempt. This move was lethal enough against a first-time opponent. But Xiao Holian knew Zhang Yi's methods. So she chose to endure the full brunt. I now possess epsilon-level power, and in terms of the destructive force of supernatural attacks, you may not surpass me. Flames ignited her body, crimson fire erupting from her small frame like a torrent. From her chest, the purgatory furnace blazed with dazzling light. A colossal crimson lotus blossomed mid-air, its fiery petals radiating unparalleled ferocity. The nuclear bullet, enveloped in pitch-black power of the void, streaked across the sky, hurtling straight toward Xiao Holian. The crimson lotus flames engulfed the entire sky. The bullet plunged into the inferno and detonated instantly. Boom! The deafening explosion warped the bullet's trajectory, sending it streaking past more than 10 meters to the left of Xiao Honglian's body. Xiao Honglian's eyes widened with excitement. Just as I thought. She clenched her fists. I'm not weak. I just have a slightly lower ability index. Once I bridge that gap, I won't be inferior to anyone. She forgot she was still on the call with Zhang Yi. Naturally, Zhang Yi mocked her. Of course. Even if you dragged a dog over here, it wouldn't be weak with an epsilon-level ability index. The attack being deflected didn't surprise Zhang Yi. Because right now, the gap in their abilities was practically non-existent. Taking advantage of Zhang Yi's failed attack, Xiao Honglian flashed a wicked smile and dove toward the ground even faster. Very well, Supreme Excellency. Let me witness the full extent of your power. She knew Zhang Yi possessed formidable defenses. Yet she held one crucial advantage here, her perceived weakness. She was merely a member of the Volt Shadow Troop, while Zhang Yi stood as a towering bishop-tier mutant. Therefore, Zhang Yi was the one desperately needing to kill her to win this battle. Thus, his most prized defensive ability would become useless. Xiao Honglian needed to patiently wait for Zhang Yi to reveal an opening. She knew that even now, her odds of victory weren't great. But opportunity comes to those who wait. She only needed one chance, that was enough. Zhang Yi hovered midair, showing no haste to pursue. He understood Xiao Honglian's tactics now. Once they entered the primordial jungle, he might truly fall into her trap. There was no need to dance to her rhythm. Quite clever. The Volt Shadow Troop didn't train you in vain. But don't forget, the supreme being you serve is me. Zhang Yi hovered in midair, casually pulling up all of Xiao Honglian's files from the intelligent system. If I hadn't thoroughly vetted you all, how could I possibly keep you by my side? Zhang Yi flicked his hand before him, and the Volt Shadow Troop's character cards lined up in front of him. He reached out, plucked the card containing Xiao Honglian's records, and flicked it forward. The card shattered into fine mosaic fragments, revealing vast swathes of data before Zhang Yi. Xiao Honglian, female, 30 years old. Release Department Ability User, Flame Element. Ability, Purgatory Furnace. Purgatory Furnace utilizes the heart as its power source to channel supernatural energy into flames for offensive projection. Alternatively, channels supernatural energy through the bloodstream to grant close combat prowess rivaling that of enhancement-type mutants. Can amplify abilities through high concentration fuel. No apparent weaknesses. Excels in mid to close range combat. No long-range attack methods. After a quick glance, Zhang Yi understood everything and knew exactly how to fight. Looking down at the vast primeval jungle below, Xiao Honglian had already vanished into it, planning to lie in wait. Zhang Yi slowly curved his lips into a smile. Once I keep enough distance from you, you're helpless. But I can hit you even if I can't see you. You like to set fires? I'll help you out. Zhang Yi stood high above, surveying the vast primitive forest below. Who knew how many years it took for this area to grow to such scale? It held vast accumulations of dead branches and fallen leaves, perfect fuel for burning. Fire attribute mutants could easily unleash their abilities here. Those who relish setting fires would equally adore this place. Zhang Yi swept a hand before him, and a dimensional gate slowly unfolded. Deep within the primitive forest, Xiao Honglian's body blazed with crimson patterns. She could ignite a massive blaze here at any moment. Yet the scene Zhang Yi had anticipated, her fleeing from his pursuit, did not materialize. She lifted her head, peering through the foliage as if trying to spot Zhang Yi in the sky. For some reason, she recalled those battle scenes from her days in Tianhai City. The immense spatial gate unfolded slowly in the heavens. Then, one massive bomb after another plummeted from the sky like dumplings into the primordial jungle. Before arriving, Zhang Yi had emptied several major armories in Fremons. Fremons had handed over nearly all of its obsolete firearms from the new era without hesitation. The sound of bombs tearing through the air reached Xiao Honglian's ears. She frowned. Bombs? How much of a threat could such things pose to her now? Moreover, the flames ignited by explosions would struggle to spread into the dense, humid jungle. But the next moment, something occurred to her, and her expression abruptly changed. She immediately activated the purgatory furnace within her body and dashed toward the distance like lightning. Hundreds of massive bombs plummeted into the primitive jungle. Like pouring boiling water into a cauldron of oil, intense flames roared upward with a deafening whoosh. Ordinary bombs wouldn't cause much impact in such a place, but napalm bombs, specifically engineered for combustion, were another matter entirely. The flames spread like fireworks, radiating outward from the impact points in all directions. This vast primitive jungle was nothing but a massive fuel depot. Zhang Yi watched everything below him with cold detachment. If you don't show yourself, you'll end up as roast pork. As he spoke, the divine refinement had already transformed into a massive sniper rifle. He raised the weapon and loaded a nuclear bullet into the chamber. The moment Xiao Honglian showed herself, that bullet would be fired. Xiao Honglian was running now. She feared ordinary flames, but this inferno was clearly growing more ferocious by the moment. I could intervene to stop this fire, but doing so would inevitably reveal my position. I'm certain he's already got his gun ready to snipe me. So I absolutely cannot act. But if I keep running like this, I'll be forced out of the jungle. Even if the jungle is vast enough, the oxygen and air filtration system in my combat suit won't last much longer. Xiao Honglian gritted her teeth and pondered for a long time. She scanned her surroundings for any possible shelter. Rivers evaporated, caves slowly dried up and collapsed, black smoke filled the air everywhere. After much deliberation, she made a decision and slammed her fist hard into the ground. A crimson light erupted from her fist, striking the earth directly. The already damp earth was soft and crumbly, giving way to a massive cavern. Without hesitation, Xiao Honglian leapt into the deep hole and began digging downward. My compressed oxygen supply can last 30 hours, but I can't wait that long. My stamina will decline as the oxygen thins. So I must lie dormant beneath this earth, waiting for him to come find me. That will be my chance to strike. In fact, it might be my only chance. Taking on a stronger opponent was inherently a difficult task. But at the very least, this time she had the opportunity to face Zhang Yi head-on. Xiao Honglian buried herself dozens of meters beneath the earth. Only at this depth could she completely isolate herself from the scorching air above. After unleashing the flames, Zhang Yi retrieved an energy rod from dimensional space. He waited expressionless in the air as the fire spread. Xiao Honglian, what are you going to do? You'd better come out quickly. That way, I can end this faster. Oh, wait. You're a stubborn woman, with a touch of that die rather than yield spirit. But to end this fight, I absolutely must kill you. Taking on a stronger opponent is a long shot. The only chance lies in exploiting their arrogance and complacency. Unfortunately, I won't give you any such chance. Zhang Yi sat waiting for Xiao Honglian to appear. Her combat experience paled in comparison to his, and crucially, her weapons and equipment were vastly inferior. To win, she'd have to rely on unconventional tactics. So Zhang Yi didn't need to do anything, he simply waited patiently. The vast primordial jungle blazed fiercely, black smoke billowing skyward, the firelight bringing a sense of warmth. Zhang Yi pondered for a moment, confirming the external temperature. At this moment, he was 1,000 meters above ground. Due to the influence of the flames below, the temperature he could feel was still over 20 degrees Celsius. Thus, Zhang Yi temporarily deactivated his combat suit's thermostatic system. For the first time in ages, he felt the natural warmth of the environment. The scorching smoke drifted far away with the wind. He inhaled the scent of burning wood, while the crackling sound of splintering timber filled his ears. Everything felt so familiar, almost nostalgic for the past. A raging inferno, who knew how long it would burn? Zhang Yi couldn't quite tell if the world before him was real or illusory. Yet every sensation it brought him, every sight, every scent, every temperature, was indistinguishable from the real world. He couldn't help but exclaim once more at the power of a mighty god-level civilization. He waited like this for an entire day. When Xiao Honglian crawled out of the dry earth, her eyes held a profound despair. "Must you be this cautious even when fighting me?" Xiao Honglian's tone carried a hint of grievance. "Couldn't you have given me even the slightest opening? Why such relentless caution?" Zhang Yi's voice echoed from the sky. "Why expend effort on a battle I could win effortlessly?" He looked down at his armor and the divine refinement in his hand, letting out a soft sigh. "In your current state, even if I handed control to the intelligent system to fight for you, victory would be far from guaranteed." Finally, Zhang Yi's gun barrel expelled a bullet, ending Xiao Honglian's life. Xiao Honglian dissolved into a streak of light, vanishing from this world. The next moment, she was resurrected in the outside world. Here, Uncle Yu and the others waited for the aftermath. The light gate had been sealed shut, preventing anyone else from entering. Xiao Honglian sighed deeply, glancing at her right hand. The overwhelming power she'd felt in her hand moments ago had vanished. She couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. Power that isn't truly yours will never be yours. Even if temporarily obtained, you can't master it. From the very start, I never had a chance to win. On another battlefield, when Yang Xinxin opened her eyes, she found herself surrounded by a gloomy landscape. Towering structures on both sides were built from an unknown material, shimmering with a metallic sheen unlike steel, concrete, or cement. High in the sky hung a bright, pure moon. Yang Xinxin lifted her head to gaze at the moon, her expression turning serious. Her voice was cool as she addressed the intelligent system in her combat suit. "Analyze the parameters of that moon in the sky." The intelligent system swiftly zoomed in, magnifying the moon for analysis. Soon, Yang Xinxin received the results. "That moon is indeed the one we commonly see, so our current environment is definitely on a planet." Yang Xinxin scanned her surroundings, then remarked flatly, "Not the planet from our era. This must be a projection space from a mighty god-level civilization, simulating the imagery of their time." Colossal structures loomed, dwarfing humanity beneath them. "Prepare for battle." Yang Xinxin spoke, pressing her right hand against her chest. A jet-black exoskeleton armor instantly enveloped her entire body. This was the exoskeleton armor Lu Karen had forged for her. Though Yang Xinxin rarely appeared on the front lines, Zhang Yi, adhering to the principle of being prepared for any eventuality, had equipped her with all necessary armaments. Unexpectedly, this time, she truly faced the enemy alone, and the equipment proved its worth. Though this was Yang Xinxin's first independent combat mission, she showed no panic. Instead, she calmly analyzed the situation before her. Her ability excelled at manipulating matter, but successfully striking a target with the arrows of the fallen angel puppet proved challenging. Fortunately, the exoskeleton armor ensured her close combat wouldn't be too disorganized. "First, I need to identify my opponent, their location and abilities. Then I'll figure out how to respond." Their battlefield was an ancient super city, making it difficult to locate enemies within such an environment. But soon, a deafening roar echoed in Yang Xinxin's ears. She looked up, and her dark eyes captured a breathtaking scene. Gigantic skyscrapers were being violently wrenched from the ground. Like toys, they were held aloft by an invisible giant. Boom! Boom! One after another, skyscrapers soared through the air, only to crash violently toward Yang Xinxin's position the next instant. Only two possibilities could explain this feat. First, a person wielding psychokinetic abilities. But even for a psychic, simultaneously manipulating so many skyscrapers would be extremely taxing. The second possibility, the opponent could manipulate the very materials of these skyscrapers. Yang Xinxin instantly made her judgment based solely on the scene before her. Columbia's supernova, Brian, or Magneto. Only their abilities could so effortlessly manipulate over a dozen skyscrapers like toys. The skyscrapers in this world towered far above anything human built, with structures hundreds of meters high commonplace. To swiftly locate Yang Xinxin, the adversary had resorted to this brutally direct method. Surveying the densely packed buildings around her, Yang Xinxin's brow furrowed slightly. Regardless of the opponent's identity, their abilities held a significant advantage on this battlefield. Yang Xinxin lowered her head, glancing at the armor covering her body. Without hesitation, she activated her exoskeleton armor's capabilities and sped away toward the distance. Shortly after her departure, a skyscraper crashed directly onto her previous location, erupting in a deafening explosion. Boom! The violent impact unleashed terrifying flames that lit up the night sky. Yang Xinxin realized the enemy's attacks were indiscriminate, striking in all directions. She had chosen to clear the area, forcing the opponent into the open. As Yang Xinxin had anticipated, her adversary was Colombia's Magneto, Elsa Goodman. She appeared on the battlefield simultaneously with Yang Xinxin. Without knowing her enemy's identity, she chose to clear the battlefield without hesitation. Because within the city, especially one constructed largely from special-grade metals, virtually every material could become her weapon. Therefore, she needed to eliminate all visual obstructions in the shortest time possible. Only by an indiscriminate attack on the entire city would she force her opponent to reveal themselves. Moreover, a city reduced to ruins would only amplify the effectiveness of her abilities. You're truly unlucky. Here, I hold the home field advantage. And that means you're finished. A maniacal grin spread across Elsa's lips as she raised both hands high. From all directions, buildings forged from metal began rising one after another. Amidst the ruins above ground, steel fragments from the buildings floated into the air. Massive structures hurled toward the distance, while shattered metal coalesced into a vast ring around her, blocking any sudden enemy assault. Faced with this onslaught, Yang Xinxin chose to retreat step by step. Minutes later, she reached the city's edge. Here, she sensed an invisible barrier blocking her path. Indeed, this battlefield has boundaries. Yang Xinxin reached this conclusion. She narrowed her eyes, beginning to simulate scenarios in her mind. Judging by this situation, the entire battlefield span wouldn't exceed 1,000 kilometers in length. Even with the power of an Epsilon-level mutant, completely clearing the entire battlefield would require a considerable amount of time. Escape was impossible. The battle could only end when at least one person from either side died. Yang Xinxin understood that her only path to victory was for the arrows of the fallen angel puppet, to strike her opponent. Boom! In the sky, a colossal structure nearly a kilometer tall was hurled high into the air, then flung toward the vicinity of Yang Xinxin's position. Found you! A maniacal grin spread across Elsa's lips. With each successive act of destruction, Yang Xinxin's trail became increasingly exposed. Amidst the city engulfed in flames, a humanoid figure sprinting through the chaos could not conceal its path. Elsa stood atop a massive metal plate, surrounded by a storm-like ring of enormous metal fragments, charging toward Yang Xinxin at breakneck speed. She extended her right hand toward Yang Xinxin, unleashing a torrent of metal fragments like a raging storm. Yang Xinxin's eyes narrowed. Facing the mountain-like skyscraper and the advancing Elsa, she decisively activated her ability. The colossal fallen angel puppet materialized behind Yang Xinxin. Though its hands appeared clumsy, the battered angel puppet, manipulated by strings, swiftly drew a massive longbow. A black arrow leapt onto its string. Elsa's gaze sharpened at the sight, her body enveloped in a swarm of metal fragments. Though I'm unsure of your exact abilities, as long as it can't hit me, it won't work, right? You have only one arrow, while my weapons are endless. This city forged of metal is entirely my domain. I'll see how you defeat me. Yang Xinxin truly possessed only one arrow, while the metal fragments assaulting her were boundless. Not to mention the mountain-sized skyscraper crashing down toward her from the sky. So she raised her arrow's angle and fired it skyward. This single arrow struck the colossal skyscraper with pinpoint accuracy. Trojan horse implantation can control all existence within the physical world, not just living beings, but even inanimate objects. This ability couldn't halt the skyscraper's descent, but it could cause its structure to collapse mid-air. Boom! The skyscraper disintegrated in the sky, sending a torrent of debris crashing downwards, precisely blocking Elsa's attack path. Her first strike was effortlessly neutralized by Yang Xinshin. Elsa narrowed her eyes. You can manipulate objects, but it seems only those struck by arrows fall under your control. I have an idea. With a sweep of her hands through the air, a storm of metallic debris coiled around her body, leaving not a single gap. Like this, I'll see how you use your power. And... She stared at Yang Xinshin, who was running toward the city's edge. Trapped within the city's boundaries, Yang Xinshin couldn't escape far and could only circle the perimeter. Elsa fixed her gaze on the exoskeleton armor covering Yang Xinshin's body, a cruel smile curling her lips. You're finished. Her feet stomped on metal plates, rapidly closing the distance to Yang Xinshin. Yang Xinshin turned her head to watch Elsa approaching. The fallen angel puppet's arrows shifted, the pitch-black arrows transformed into crimson ones. Cupid's arrow. Whoosh! Cupid's arrow pierced the air, shooting toward Elsa. The massive metal storm surrounding Elsa proved utterly powerless to block it. The crimson arrow tore through the metal storm, heading straight for Elsa's body. Witnessing this, Elsa froze in shock. A red arrow. Can it ignore physical barriers? Her body twisted rapidly in midair, and the crimson arrow whizzed past her side. Thankfully, its speed isn't too fast. I can dodge it completely. Elsa breathed a sigh of relief. By now, the distance between her and Yang Xinshin was sufficient for her to activate her ability. Elsa raised her palm toward Yang Xinshin in the distance. Magnetic control. Yang Xinshin, mid-flight in her escape, froze abruptly in midair. Her exoskeleton armor fell completely under Elsa's command. Her entire body was lifted and suspended in the air. Now I'll tear you apart. A cruel smile twisted Elsa's lips. She twisted her palm slightly, and the sound of metal shattering echoed in her ears. She was about to tear Yang Xinshin apart, armor and all. But at that very moment, a piercing sound suddenly erupted from all directions, like thousands of arrows striking her body.